Hello. Let me ask you something. When did we start believing that passion fading is normal? That effort disappearing is just part of real life? That intimacy has an expiration date? Maybe you as well, somewhere along the way, you were sold a story that the honeymoon phase is temporary. That desire inevitably dies. And that emotional distance is just what happens when love gets serious. But what if that story is wrong? What if the honeymoon phase doesn't vanish because the time passes, but because effort does? Today I want to talk about love as a practice, desire as a choice, and intimacy as something that deepens instead it disappears when we stop working against it without even realizing that we fucking are. Welcome to Desire Dialogues. Thank you so much for my regular listeners, and welcome. I'm Sex Coach Lauren, if this is your first time here. So, the honeymoon phase myth, right? We've all heard it. You can't expect that forever. Of course it's different now. Oh, that spark always fades. Have you heard it too? Ugh. And while relationships do evolve, here's what no one tells us. The honeymoon phase was never about novelty alone. It was about the presence. Like, you listened more closely, right? You were curious. You noticed those small things. You touched intentionally. You made your partner feel chosen. You felt chosen, right? And this wasn't really actually accidentally. This was actually on purpose if you go and really think about it. The spark didn't come from newness. It came from attention. Did you get a little ding, ding, ding? And attention is not something time takes away. Attention is something that we actually stop giving if we go ahead and look at it. If you want to look at it, right? All of these episodes are just an invitation to get curious, to maybe see if there's some weight in what I'm saying, if you want to grab some things and take it with as you go, or apply it to your life, or maybe take a little insight and look inside to see what's going on, if this resonates with you. The thing is, emotional laziness isn't normal. It's learned. We've normalized emotional autopilot. We've romanticized survival mode. And we've excused disconnection as fucking maturity. But emotional laziness, it's not inevitable. It's actually just a learned behavior. And honestly, dude, most of us were never taught how to nurture desire long term, how to communicate their needs without shame as they change, how to repair instead of retreat. And also, how to keep intimacy alive without waiting for it to just fucking happen. So when things feel flat, we assume something's wrong with us or our partner. Have you ever been there? Oh my gosh, I have. So many of my clients have too. But instead of realizing, that this is happening, we were never given the tools, right? What if you had tools? Love didn't fail you. You just weren't taught how to use it over and over and over in new and different ways as your relationship evolves, as your love evolves. So desire doesn't die. It just changes its form. So let's talk about desire for a moment. Desire does not disappear because our bodies age. It doesn't vanish because you've been together a long time. It doesn't die because life gets busy. It fades when you stop inviting curiosity in, right? Please don't feel attacked. It fades when we stop inviting curiosity, when we stop inviting play, when we stop inviting in the new feeling that we had, the excited feeling that was actually driven from a cocktail of natural chemicals in your body when you meet somebody. Or when you're really just head over heels, right? That's dopamine, oxytocin. It's literally like your body's on coke and it's not sustainable, which is why the honeymoon phase does not last. Like, the thing is, butterflies, they may soften into safety, and that's not a loss. Fire may evolve into depth, and that's not a failure. But affection should expand. Appreciation should grow louder. Touch should become more intentional, not less. So these are some invitations. These are some reminders that desire is going to thrive when we stay awake to each other. In intimacy, like that real intimacy, it's not about intensity alone. It's about aliveness. How are you going to stoke that fire? What kindling are you going to put on the fire to keep it going? What are you bringing in to fan the flames? Just a question, just a few thoughts. What do you want to do today to wake that back up, right? To revitalize. So intimacy is a choice, not a phase. And I get it. This is a hard pill to swallow. You know, this can definitely feel confronting. And I apologize. But I want you to know this can also be liberating. This could lead to so much more. You know, when we spin this around and look at it in a different light, you know, the loss of intimacy isn't usually a phase. It can be more of like a silent agreement. You know, it's like an agreement to stop reaching, to stop risking, to stop saying the things, to stop touching with presence, to maybe like take for granted. But it's like, it's not because you don't care, but because no one taught you how to keep choosing each other once life got real. So couples who stay deeply connected aren't lucky. They're actually just really intentional. They repair quickly. They talk honestly. They are going to prioritize connection even when it feels so stinking uncomfortable. They understand something powerful, that love doesn't stay alive by accident. And I'm so thankful that I got to be able to see this in my parents. They are stinking adorable. And yes, they have a sex swing in their basement. And goodness, I hope my grandmother isn't listening, but highly doubt she would. But I hope someday she does. My parents have been together for, I think like 39 years at this point. And it is, I look back and I remember just always softness, listening. No one really left the room when there was an argument. They never fought in front of us, and I've asked them, and they just never really fought. It was we really talk things out, and it's get curious on how the other is feeling, and these are the things I didn't realize were in the background going on the whole time, and it made me really have a small view on what love was supposed to look like, because I didn't realize how unhealthy other relationships could be. And I'm just really happy they set that role model, that blueprint on what, you know, really compassionate and intentional love and partnership looks like, because I now have that, and I didn't really do it and have to try at it. I just knew what I wanted, and I knew what I wouldn't stand less for. You know, I wasn't gonna deal with anything less than that. And I really hope that we can strive to get there. Everybody else, you know, if your relationship isn't feeling so intentional lately, there's one thing that, you know, you can bring back in, intentional, right? Do you intend to be grateful, Do you intend to smile big at your partner? That conveys the way you feel about them. Or you want to get intentional about really going back to remember like this really favorite moment you may have had. Maybe it was first date. Tap back into certain ways that they made you feel that were really powerful in the good ways. Tap back into that emotion, that memory, and bring it with you. Bring it back up to the surface, right? So, let's stop accepting indifference as normal. We need to talk about what we'll tolerate. You know, sometimes we'll excuse indifference as exhaustion, right? Like, oh, we're so tired, we just worked. Oh my God, the kids. Oh my goodness, the holidays. And sometimes, we find ourselves excusing distance as independence. Like, oh no, they got this. They don't really need me. We excuse unmet needs as, okay, I'm being too much. And I have the quotation fingers right now. But here's the truth, right? Like wanting that affection still isn't needy. Wanting that effort isn't unrealistic. Wanting to feel desired is not asking for too much. What you're asking for is aliveness. And the right relationship with the right tools, it doesn't shrink over time. It deepens, and it can deepen. Love is a verb. And I want you to think about this daily. I do my best to, all right? The honeymoon phase doesn't end when love is real. It ends when we forget that love is a verb. Love is choosing presence over distraction. Put your phone down, talk to your partner, eat without, have a meal together without the phones, without the TV. Love is choosing curiosity over assuming you already know that because you've known them so long, so they must have did it for that reason, or they must have been thinking and feeling that way. Love is choosing repair over withdrawal. Over, this isn't even worth it, so I'm just going to withdraw, leave the room. It'll work itself out like it always does. Love is choosing desire over the autopilot of what you do every day or what you don't do every day with your partner. Same thing, in and out. Okay? Love is choosing, not perfectly, but intentionally. So I'll leave you with this. What would change in your relationship if you stopped waiting for the spark and instead started creating it? What if intimacy wasn't something you hoped would return, but something you practiced returning, as if it was already there? And what if the honeymoon phase was never meant to fade, but just to evolve into something deeper, richer, and like more alive than you ever imagined, right? That's where the real work begins. That's where real love fucking lives and resides. So, did this episode, the show, did it earn a 5 stars, earn a thumbs up from you? If it landed something for you, I'd love to ask you to take a minute of your precious time to give the show a little thumbs up. Give it a 5 star depending on where you're listening. It really helps me know that this is the information you like, so I can create more and I can continue to bring it to you for free. My friends, thank you so much for listening. Your time is so valuable. I appreciate you. And pleasure is your birthright. Be well, my friends. Until next time.